great that you've taken the time to join us here this morning for the launch of the state we are in. It's our second safety audit, and it's an analysis of how safe Ireland actually is for women and children living with violence in their homes and lives. And as you know, our first audit was published in 2014. I suppose as we were preparing for today and preparing the report, we were very clear that over the last, since our last audit, that there have been a number of welcome developments since then. And we've most notably seen progress with Garda Síochána, TUSLA, the court system. We now have a new government strategy being led by Tusk. And we've seen changes within the court system. So, you know, we welcome all the progress that has been made since our last audit. But unfortunately, we have to say that in many ways things have changed and nothing has changed at all. And from our perspective, and as we view the statistics and as we speak to women and as we work with the services throughout the country, domestic violence continues as a largely undocumented, underreported and unprosecuted crime, and yet it is a high-volume crime here in Ireland. Unfortunately, it is still being described and still being viewed as it's just a domestic. SAFE Ireland is a national social change agency, and we want to make Ireland the safest country in the world for women and children. And more than that, we believe that it is achievable. Domestic violence affects women, children and men. It affects communities, it affects business, it affects our economy. It is a reflection of where we are as a nation. That is why we are presenting this audit, taking this snapshot to explore with evidence-based recommendations how we can be a better country for women and children. And particularly in the year that we have of such historical significance and reflection. So we have work to do to face up to domestic violence in this country. We need to have the courage to look this problem in the face, say that it is real, and then act to bring visibility and voice like never before. As our Man Up supporter Ryan Tuberty said at a recent event in Áras an Uachtaráin, we need to pull back the curtains and we need to hear the voices behind those curtains. We need to allow these voices to be heard. We must address our culture and attitudes because they affect the ability and confidence of most women to report violence and seek help. It is our culture and attitudes that allow us to continue to minimize this issue, to blame women, and to continue to support the system that does not protect women. And we have to understand that the root of all violence is what happens in the home, and that the home is not an island. It is clearly situated in society and clearly affected by culture. We know that childhood trauma dramatically affects health across a lifetime. Exposure to early adversity affects the developing brains and bodies of children. Within homes across Ireland, offenders are creating lifetimes of trauma, lifetimes of violence, and a society deeply rooted in cycles of violence. But we can strive to change this. We can strive to make Ireland the safest country in the world for women and children. We only have to want to do that. As negotiations on the shape of the next Dáil continue, including negotiations and plans for both the formation of government and a reasonable opposition, we are asking all political parties to face up to domestic violence, to take this stark snapshot of the state's response to women and children seriously, and to commit to making domestic violence a defining issue in a government programme of action for a better and more caring Ireland. You can see the negotiations, they're in the papers every day. Every issue has been named by every politician as they move to try and put a government in place. Not one of them are talking about domestic violence. Not one of them is visible and vocal right now on this issue, and yet this is the largest crime in Ireland right now. It is in homes right across every single community. It needs leadership. Over the past 5 years particularly, there have been welcome developments in policy, strategy, legislation, awareness and recognition of the complexity of domestic violence. This work must continue. If every politician, regardless of their party or alliance, commits to make violence a priority over the coming years, they will be sending a very powerful message to thousands of women and children silent behind those curtains. They will be sending them a message that they have been waiting to hear for years. They will be telling them that finally their government, their politicians, their country and their fellow citizens are prepared to face up to domestic violence.